Hi, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Pizan Academy. I'm Deanna, and for 2020, we are going to have a series on Mondays called Great Books Mondays. And I thought that a great way to start this series would be to talk about one of the earliest compilations of a list of the great books, and this was by Thomas Jefferson. Now, we have letters that he wrote to different people. He was always corresponding with friends and family. In 1785, he wrote a letter to his nephew, Peter Carr. Now, Carr was only 15 years old, and I'll read part of the letter to you, but in it, he is describing the types of things that he is recommending to his young nephew that he read. What's interesting is that in the letter, he talks about things that he expects Carr to read in school. And this is really informative because these are things that are not taught in middle school, high school in the modern world, including Terence and Horace and some of these classical authors that we don't imagine that middle and high school students are exposed to anymore in general. Now, I'm sure there are exceptions. So let me read a little bit of this letter from 1785 so you can see the types of things that he's recommending to his 15-year-old nephew. It is time for you now to begin to be choice in your reading, to begin to pursue a regular course in it, and not to suffer yourself to be turned to the right or left by reading anything out of that course. I have long ago digested a plan for you, suited to the circumstances in which you've been placed. This I will detail to you from time to time as you advance. For the present, I advise you to begin a course of ancient history, reading everything in the original and not in translations. First, read Goldsmith's History of Greece. This will give you a digested view of that field. Then take up ancient history in detail, reading the following books in the following order: Herodotus, Thucydides, Xenophonides, Hellenica, Xenophonides Anabasis, Arrian, Quintus Curtius, Diodorus Siculus, and Justin. This shall form the first stage of your historical reading, and is all I need to mention to you now. The next will be of Roman history. From that we can come down to modern history. In Greek and Latin poetry, you will have read or will read at school Virgil, Terence, Horace, Anacreon, Theocritus, Homer, Euripides, Sophocles. Read also Milton's Paradise Lost, Shakespeare, Pope's and Swift's works, in order to form your style in your own language. In morality, read Epictetus, Xenophonides' Memorabilia, Plato's Socratic Dialogues, Cicero's Philosophies. And he goes on to list a few other works. Now, these are works that we don't normally associate with a 15-year-old reading today. These would be taught in a classics program in college or a graduate school program. Younger kids, middle school may have read Homer, one of them, usually not both, but that's not even always the case. And so what's remarkable is that he's setting his nephew up to have this broad background of this Western tradition. Now, Peter Carr went on to be an educator and a politician in Virginia, and unfortunately died at a rather young age at 45, but these works are what equipped him for that career in education and in public service. And so when we think about the great books, a lot of times we think about them being sort of isolated to people who, are educators or who study the classics or live this sort of ivory tower sort of life. But that wasn't the case. For centuries, students were exposed to these great works of the Western tradition. Even in grammar school and elementary school, they would be given some of these works to memorize. And it was this memorization, this rote memorization that would expose them. So then when they got a little bit older, they would read them again and they could understand them a little bit more. And by the time they were adults, they were so well versed in this. In fact, these works were the popular culture of the day. People would quote them all the time, and others would understand and even find humor or irony in these quotes. They weren't just these memes that you would post online and, have people think, oh, wow, that's a cool thing that person said a long time ago. But this was just everyday popular culture. And so the great books have this long tradition, this long history in the United States. And unfortunately, in the modern world, they're not taught like they always were. So if you're interested in these lists that Jefferson compiled, we're going to have links to the letters in the description below. If you're enjoying our videos, you can like them, share them with your friends, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell. We also have links to our social media in the description below. And I'm off to read some great books and to see which of these on Jefferson's list that I've read and what I need to add to my reading list. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.